Looks like you lost another one.
Yeah,
I
understand.
That's handmade from a Quechua person in the Andes Mountains of Peru. So that's authentic.
Yes, that's what you'll call authentic.
Yeah, that's authentic.
From the
but I bought that at East Coast.
She stitched through her own hands.
You know that those symbols are authentic, but I bought that at East versus West at the mall.
It's all good. It's all good. Serves the same purpose. The intention is all to connect. What they represent. So for that, we are thankful and so thankful to finally get you back.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that April is Men's Mental Health Awareness.
Yeah, no, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Just the entire month of May, it's about to go hard. Okay. So you're definitely gonna be featured in that lineup. So we have a men's point of view going on right now because there's a lot of masculine energy that seems to be, directing or, channeling, are you mad or whatnot. But we're just basically taking in all perspectives and just allowing the men to just speak their truth in whatever, in its authentic form. Agree, disagree, whatnot. But at least they're releasing themselves and also just being mindful. And you being a gentleman as well. So you'll definitely be, as far as the mental health, featured in that as the series continues on. You'll just kind of slide right in regards to mental health. You're back for part 2. We have it called Psych and Psychedelics, but in that episode you did clarify that they're referred to as entheogenic. I like how you say it's entheogenic plants. How do you?
Entheogens, entheogenic plants, entheogenic fungi, entheogenic cacti, entheogenic amphibians.
Yes.
But yeah, I still use the word psychedelics in certain crowds, and when you're around real medicine people that are doing this work, they're not fans of the word psychedelic.
Yes, yeah. That's when you kind of may
because
that
immediately. People that don't even know medicine is ancestral to them is like, oh, I don't want to hallucinate. And like I said in the past, once you have these experiences, it's not a hallucination. You know what you felt, saw, heard, spoke to, seen. Entheogens meaning sparking the divine within. That's what it breaks down to.
Our body. So please, for those who don't recall or haven't checked out the episode, make sure you go ahead and check out the episode. Make sure you click the link. We'll have Cacique's information as well, so where you can contact him once you've already checked it out, learn more. If you've already seen it and you were waiting for him to come back, he is now back. So we are excited for him to just continue to pour into us more of what's behind the scenes, or what you may not, I don't want to call it behind the scenes because it's available for all of us. But if you're tapped in, and if you're not tapped in, then welcome. Welcome, all are welcome. So we're going to have Cacique, which stands for chief. Yes?
Yes, in Arawakan Nation, Taino language, still Arawakan Nation still exists in the Amazon. So if you ever visit the Amazon and sit with any tribes, you will meet the Cacique.
Yeah.
And that is the chef. And then, so I'm a cacique of an Afro-Taino Yucayeki. Yucayeki means village. And Taino language, and then we have a Behique, which is basically like a shaman or medicine man. So in the Taino culture, we actually have 2 Behiques. One that actually journeys with the medicine for visionary purposes. And then you have another Behique that's more like the medical doctor, the nurse, that works more with just the non-visionary plants. If you got a wound or you're sick physically or illness. So that's a little bit more information that many Tainos themselves don't even know.
That's beautiful. Very well. And Cacique Antonio, I want to know, before we start to go into the plants, I want you to this was off the record, just behind the scenes, freestyle, low key, high key. Just tell us a little bit about you and how you got into the medicine. And then you take us on to your many journeys from that point on.
Yeah, for me, it was just once I've worked with entheogenic mushrooms and LSD since I was a preteen right here in the urban city, and I just did a podcast interview with Lucid News, and they covered really good interview. Check it out. Lucid News is big, and in that I talk about how in many ways the mushroom really guided me and kept me aligned growing up in the urban community, you know, because I live in a community with projects all around us, and a lot of my peers have fallen into drug use, jail, death, you know, and working with the sacred mushroom, I think always kept my conscious. Was raising conscious because it always gave me awareness.
Yes.
And when I could have easily went another route, whether it was a really violent route, drug use route, or just caught up in survival mode and doing what you got to do when you live in these urban communities,
yes.
The sacred mushroom was very instrumental and guided me through my childhood, because it always showed you who you was and what you were doing. So, and if anybody works with medicine, you know, no matter which medicine it is, in the beginning, the medicine shows you who you are and what you've done and what you have to make right. Before these medicines really can teach you anything about your soul or give you access to the multiverse, it really needs you to heal these parts of your heart and your mind. And in healing, it actually shows you all the things that you shouldn't have done, or what you've done, or what you got to make right. So a lot of times growing up in the mushrooms, I could be caught up in some heavy street stuff, you know, and that once a year when that hippie comes through the hood and you score some mushrooms and then you sit with them and the mushroom shows you who you are, and you're like, oh my God, okay. All right, I get it. All right, I'm not a good person. I did some stuff I need to make right, you know, and I can't do this again. I can't be like this. All right, stop showing me. All right, I understand.
I got it. Yes, I ain't a killer, but don't push me.
Yeah. I mean, that's how these medicines work, you know, especially sacred mushrooms. Very sacred, the mushroom. You know, people think it's a drug. You know, these are the true sacraments of earth medicines. You know, if you research the mushrooms and hardcore research Baba Kalindi has done. Baba Kalindi is an elder that passed away during quarantine. He was from Detroit, black martial artist, very powerful brother. You know, Kalindi traveled the world, you know, showing people the mushroom at the Vatican, the mushroom at the Pyramid of Giza, the mushroom on cathedrals and churches right here. So when you can start looking for these signs, you can actually start seeing that the mushroom was really involved in raising our consciousness. And even in all religions, there's signs of mushroom use or DMT use. You know, you go into the Bible, the burning bush. Most people can agree that was some type of DMT experience. So Raising Power by Baba Kalindi, look him up, very powerful elder. His teachings, he's become the poster boy for high dose mushroom journeys. So in general, the 5 gram is called the heroic dose, where you actually need at least 5 grams to have a visionary journey with the mushroom. Baba Kalindi's camp was working with 20, 30, 40 gram journeys. And at that point, it's not about healing. It's really about exploring the soul, the consciousness, the multiverse. Those are very deep, powerful, mystical experiences at the quantum level. It's not everybody's ready for those type of experience. I definitely believe people can do their 5 gram heroic journey dose on their own. Always done in darkness and silence by yourself. 5 grams. You never do 5 grams out in public. You never do it out around people. You do it at home at night by yourself in pure darkness. But once you start getting in the 7 gram range and up, that's really more advanced medicine work. You know, that's not really, that's when you've done enough healing. You've healed enough of your traumas and you healed enough of your heart that you can go into the darkness. You know, we need more like Baba Kalindi always says, we need more sorcerers, more wizards. We need more brave people to explore these realms. And if you just look at Baba Kalindi's earlier stuff on YouTube, find his earlier stuff like early 2000, his information is just priceless. It's his information and what he has done is a forever gift for everybody. in the mushroom community. So it's sad that we recently lost him during COVID, but his legacy's still here. His information's still here. Many of his students are still here. Many people in his camp have started to open up and share their protocols and how to work with the mushroom in a very responsible way, with reverence and respect. These sacraments are always done with intention, purpose, stay in your heart, always stand in your power, always stand in your divinity, and always be humble in life, because if not, when you get into medicine, the medicine will check you. Medicine will check you.
Yeah, that's actually next on my my realm. So every time I speak to you, I'm always kind of like, like eager, like, getting my mind ready, you understand, and so that we can continue to capture that. And thank you so much for that message. I didn't get a chance to message you back, but you letting me know that you're here, for me as well, to support me in terms of being a community member. That like every time we talk, every time like you message or whenever we connect, it's always like this divine type of like energetic like alignment, because I always just think about how it's it's actually pretty cool knowing that you're preteen, because we essentially grew up together, at least around during your teens, I would say. So by the time you're teens, we grew up together. So by that time, if you start in your preteens, that's such a beautiful thing to know, because I always speak about your essence, even in passing, even as, even though we weren't like in all of the same class or had many classes together, but your energy was always one that is remembered. So it's very beautiful to know now. You're welcome. And it's always peace. It's always joy. I don't know, Cacique, I don't say, or before Cacique, I don't want to say before Cacique, so tone, right? So, but your energy was always just so light, and rest in peace to Irv. You too, it's just a beautiful harmonious spirit. Yeah, I understand that you're just like, wherever you're at, it's always peace. And I truly always so I'm very appreciative of our connection now as adults, right? Parents now, advocates and whatnot, and what we're doing and the path that we're paving, and just to watch you also align in your purpose. Such a beautiful thing.
Yeah, thank you for that, because
you're welcome. Just by the way, just have to know that. Just always want to remind you and let you know, or for those who don't know, this dude, it's when when you've collaborated or have connected with the kindred spirit to some capacity that is here to guide and or walk with you for whatever it is, season, reason.
Yeah, there's no such thing as coincidences. It's pure synchronizations, and it's people are aligning for a reason. And thank you for shouting out my brother Irvin. I miss him a lot. He's still with me. I still talk to him. I still have access to him. He's still around us. There's a lot of souls after they transition, they stay in the ether realms for anywhere from 10 to 100 years before they reincarnate to learn their next karmatic lesson. Some of the more advanced souls actually just come right back. They don't stay in those realms. Irv is still in those realms watching over me. Irv was very instrumental in changing my life before I got into the ceremonial path. He the one that snatched me up out the streets and said, come to Baltimore, we ain't got to do this no more. You come out here and sell cars with me. And he changed my life. He let me live with him. He was just stay here with me, get on your feet, don't worry about nothing. And it was the only time I ever left Jersey and moved Jersey was to live with him. Besides that, I've never left Jersey. I travel all the time, but I've never had my home base. So I really call Baltimore a home base for me because of Brother Irvin. And he just completely changed my life by the opportunities that he offered me. And talking about opportunities, a lot of people in life always talk about, especially in the Black, Brown, and Latin communities, we ain't always got the opportunities that other people got for many reasons that are pretty obvious. I don't have to go into that. But sometimes many of us do get opportunities and we don't take them. you know, the opportunities are presented right in front of our nose, and then we don't take it. Then 5, 10, 15, 20 years later, you're like, oh, wow, I should have did that. That would have been a life changer for me. That would have been a game changer. You know, and the opportunity that Urban gave me was a no-brainer to me. You know, I mean, no one ever in my life told me, come up, just live with me. You ain't gotta be on the streets. You ain't gotta hustle. You can stay with me. Just stay. I got a bunk bed. Stay in my sunroom.
Just
and
be,
don't worry about
none
paying me
of that.
no rent. I'll show you how to sell cars. I'll get you a job at the dealership. You know what I mean? I ran back home a week later. I got rid of my apartment, sold half my shit, and I was living in Baltimore within a week. And people up here in the North was like, you crazy, you know what I mean? But
Nah.
a lot of my more successful friends always told me, like, Antonio, you really gonna do something, because you don't hesitate. And I was like, I don't. When I see an opportunity that could better me, my family, my situation, spiritually, mentally, financially, you got to take those opportunities. And too many people living in fear, too many people living in comfort. You know, I know people that are in their 50s and never left their neighborhood, you know, and I've taken them just an hour and 40 minutes away to a lake in the summertime, and they still hug me and praise me for that memory. Like, so I remember you took me to this lake, and it was just an hour and 40-minute ride, you know. But the truth is, a lot of our people just stay in the communities that, you know, they live in their grandma's house, and, you know, in that comfort zone. And we're blessed to have those homes, right? We're glad grandma got that home. We glad we got shelter, you know. But when, you know, we got to do a little bit better. Each generation got to do a little bit better than the next generation. You know, that's how we progress. But you know, there's a lot of reasons why people in our community stay stagnant, and we got to be able to step up and have the willpower, and you know, and put your big boy pants on, put your big girl pants on, and say it's time to do something different. You know, and you know, and we're not doing things different. We're staying in that and just there in that comfort level. That helplessness, that comfort level, you know what I mean? I know grown people never have a driver's license. They still using the pedal bike just because they still in the same neighborhood.
Wow, you know? That's wild.
That's real in the urban communities. You know,
that's
you talk
true.
to people in these communities, you know, their mama been there, their grandmama been there, you know what I mean? And the kids are born, you know what I mean? They don't go anywhere, you know. There. I got hope though, because the more these younger generations want something different, they go into college, they go to universities,
they meeting new people, we're interacting, you know, so you getting a little bit out.
Got a lot of hope.
Little Caribbean friend, you got your Latino friend, your Latina, you know, you go start branching out. Go see their homes, go with them, come back home, tell everybody about it.
Definitely, because for me, like in the Northeast, you know, in New York City, tri-state area, Jersey area, like college and university is not really an option for Black, brown, Latinos. For some reason, they think it's over with high school. But I spent a lot of time down south. My grandma lived down south, so I spent a lot of time Virginia, North Carolina, Florida, and you know, down south they got a culture where you go to college. Like that's not university. No matter where you come from, no matter if you come from the bottom, if you come from a marginalized community, everybody go to the universities and go to the colleges down south. And it's like up here, it's so fast paced, you know. Up here it's like, I gotta hustle. I'm done with school. I gotta get a job. I gotta pay bills. I gotta help my mom. I gotta help. But you can help your family and your community so much more, you know, by furthering your education. And that's a whole nother topic, because a lot of times Black, brown, Latinos, we're not going to school to be great. You know, we settling for these gender roles, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's nothing wrong with being a nurse. We need nurses. But you can be the doctor. Why do you gotta settle to be the nurse?
That part.
You know what I'm saying? So we not going to school for and getting education and things that'll make us great, that can build you, that'll give you the knowledge and the tools you need to create generational wealth, to be a real entrepreneur. And that's that's another thing. I'm working with a lot of BIPOC therapists and educators and scholars, and we're working with kids in the high schools to really get them to go to more prestigious universities.
Thank you.
There's I have no issues with county colleges. They're a great stepping stone for many of our people. But the truth is,
stepping stone, key word.
Right. But the truth is, many of our students don't need that stepping stone. They're great. They can go straight.
They can go straight to the
straight to a great university, straight to a prestigious university. You know, we don't have to settle. You know, we don't have the proper guidance and resources. I know many of my peers, you know, they pushed themselves, because we grew up in these neighborhoods, and pushed themselves to go to universities in South Carolina, Georgia, VA. You know, they went out, but at the end of the day, they got a degree that they're not even using. You know, they got a degree. You know, they doing pretty well for themselves, because they're managing. They're figured it out. You know, they figured it out, because you can't hold us back no matter what. You can't hold us back.
The critical thinking classes, they worked in some capacity that allowed us to do some more critical thinking outside of the classrooms, obviously. Yeah, but still.
Yeah, and having the discipline, you know, when we go to universities at those ages, it instills discipline us at an older age, right? When we're younger, we got to go to school. Our parents make us go to school. It's part of the system. It's part of the it's part of Western culture. But, you know, when you go on your own, you know, they instill that. You got to get up every day at 7 a.m. in the morning, you know what I mean? They instill that discipline that many people in our communities lack, you know what I'm saying? So... You know, not that you can't be self-made, because I know a lot of self-made people that have been very successful on their own, you know, but even those self-made people, they push their kids to go to college, universities, you know, they still understand the value of it. Yes. And we just not being great. You can go be a great doctor. You can be a surgeon. You know, you can go get a double. I tell my daughter all the time, stay in school as long as you can. Stay in school till you're 30. Finish when you're 30. You'll finish with a PhD, an MD, double, 2 PhDs, MD, a neurology. You know.
Yeah, get all of it. Get all of it, because it's all it says at the end of the day. You can't tell me nothing. Like that. Get everything.
And at 30 years
so
old,
that they can't tell you nothing.
And at 30 years old, your life still starting.
In and out.
And at 30 years old, your life is still starting. You have a position of power. All your peers will be like you. You know, you won't have to ever worry about money ever again. You know, and at 30 years old, your whole life is just starting. You know, you own real estate. You can travel the world. You can buy things. You got good credit. You know, and these are the things that are instilled in privileged people. You know, privileged folks. They watch their kids from a youngin', from a kid, and from a little, watch a child grow up, and they say, okay, my son is good at math. Okay, my son is good at science. My son
highlighting their gifts.
And then they send their kids to school, kind of even sometimes make them go to school for certain things. And the child's like, oh, they're resentful for their parents and they made me go here. But then at 20, 30 years old, they're really happy about those decisions.
That part.
You know, sometimes we're really hard-headed, but I think all of us at some point grow up and say, my mom was right. My father was right.
Please, thank you. We're going to play that back again. I want you to go back and go, I'm going to go back and just keep rewinding that. Your mom is right. Your dad is right. Your aunt is right. Your uncle is right. They are right. Stop it. I know you think you're bigger than the world. I totally get it. It's a conflict. Yeah. We all think that we're smarter than our parents. We're smarter than the elders. They're watching us. They're looking at you. They're laughing at you. I'm doing the same thing with my child. I'm looking at her. She thinks she's smarter than me. I'm like, girl, you are from me. Like, I am the blueprint. Like, what are you doing? Like, stop playing yourself, you know? So we're just trying to help you save yourself time, live vicariously through other people, watch other people fuck up, see what pardon my French, but are you mad? We're a little mad right now. Watch them mess up. See, like, ooh, uncle did it that way, auntie did it that way, I don't like it. Do it the better way. All right, okay, I digress. Because
this is all solid. It's all solid. It's all valid. It's all valid, especially within our communities. You know, we don't always have those opportunities for ourselves, but we can create them if you just apply yourself. And I tell my daughter all the time, a child 10 times less as intelligent and smart as you will be 10 times greater than you because they applied yourself and you didn't. You know what I'm saying? And at the level that we are now, we have more resources. We have more guidance. You know, when I was in high school, wasn't nobody telling me, even though I come from a long line of educators, my mother was an educator. Mm-hmm. She was a teacher supervisor for years. She runs a special needs program for the St. Elizabeth. My grandmother taught in William and Mary University in the 60s, and they didn't believe she was Puerto Rican because all the white folks thought that Puerto Rico was still filled with Indians. So I still come, I come from a long line of educators, and I'm glad that my parents raised me well.
Yes.
But no one was telling me to go to college, go to high school, go be great, go be, you know, no one was telling me that stuff, you know what I mean? And now we gotta tell our kids that stuff, like, go be great.
Every day, remind them.
We don't need to settle for the gender roles, you know what I mean? We need to push ourselves to keep going.
Whatever that gift is, whatever that talent is, be great at that. But I tell my daughter, she loves to draw. She'll prefer to draw all day. And I'm like, that's good. But you still need to be able to do everything else as well. Otherwise, you're limiting yourself, you know, in terms of how far you can go. I'm going to hone it. You want to draw? You can draw all day. Please do. You know, we can work on that gift, you know, if you choose to, you know, pour into it. But at the end of the day, we need to be across all boards, though. Across all boards.
That balance, we need balance. We need it.
Thanks. Okay. Well, listen, back to the balance. Let's close it out, I guess, now on discussing a little bit of the sacred plants. Not too much, because folks can do their research. We don't want to hone in on anyone in particular unless you want to hone in on anyone in particular. But I do know that you do have a trip coming up in December in which you will go. You'll be administering.
Yeah, a lot of people in my community, they can't make the pilgrimage down to Peru. You know, it's a 10-hour flight to Lima, 2 more hour flight down to Cusco, 3-hour drive into the Sacred Valley, mystical home of the Incas, home of the medicine. And it's a 2-week retreat because it's so far. So what I've done is I've been able to get my maestro to come up to Caribbean, Mexico in December. And we'll be in Tulum, anywhere in the United States, New York, LA, you're in Cancun in 3.5 hours, 90-minute ride, you're down into Tulum, and it's a 1-week retreat, and you get the opportunity to sit with an authentic ayahuasca maestro and elder. Because I just sat in Brazil with the Yanaguaná tribe in Santo Daime. Santo Daime is the biggest ayahuasca church in the world, based out of Brazil. And the way their ceremonies are very different compared to the indigenous and the shamanic ceremonies that I'm used to. They're very much like a church. They invoke a lot of Christ consciousness. You're up singing psalms and songs. The lights are on. You have to be very disciplined and aligned to sit in a Santo Daime retreat. But it was very beautiful because it was a Santo Daime and Yawanawa tribe. It was an infused ceremony. And the download that I had then was, it's time when people sit with these medicines, it's time that we sit directly with the elders and the indigenous, the true gatekeepers of these medicines for thousands and thousands of years, the ones that really know how to hold the space when you're journeying with these medicines. I love my urban neo-shamans. I'm one of them. And I'm supposed to always support them. But when it comes down to certain medicines, it's time that we sit with the elders, the indigenous. It's time that we learn from them. It's time that we give back to them.
Yes.
You know, I just sat in a sweat lodge and needed to make a sweat lodge last week. I found out that the donation, the medicine man holding the sweat lodge, he sends the payment right back to his teacher.
Beautiful.
That taught him how to hold the sweat lodge.
That's what I'm talking about.
So it's time that we give back to and recognize, because as we see the colonization of these medicines through the psychedelic renaissance, and you got all these biotech companies right now trying to patent these medicines so that when they become a prescription, the FDA and big pharma will use their patents. So they're calling it an ayahuasca pill. There's no such thing. Or you could call it a DMT pill. There's no such thing. They're synthesizing the mushroom into a pill. So instead of a 4 or 5 hour journey, it's 2 to 3 hours for a therapeutic session. So, you know, as we're synthesizing these medicines, how much of the spirit that teaches us and heals us is getting left out. You know, how are we patenting things that indigenous people have owned for thousands of years?
Thank you.
So, you know, there's a lot going on right now, even in the psych, you know, a lot of people are not caught up. Therapists, medical doctors, they don't really realize how these medicines are changing the medical field, changing talk therapy. You know, they're so left behind. You know, a lot of times when I work with people, I make sure that they have a psychedelic therapist afterwards to work with.
Thank you. Say that one more time.
a lot of times when I work with people, I highly suggest and I find them a resource to work with a psychedelic therapist. These are licensed therapists in the States, but they have psychedelic training, and certain organizations like MAPS that is in charge of the FDA clinical trials, and they've had many. And I only work with psychedelic therapists also that use the medicine for their own healing. So they know what they went through, you know. And sometimes I get people, sometimes I get people, I have a therapist already, and they come back, tell me, oh, my therapist said he don't even care what substance I did or what ceremony, as long as it works. So this is a real big disservice that's going on. I've also had other friends that already have therapists, and they said they're tired of educating their therapists, and then the therapist is not open to learning. So these therapists, warning. These medicines are changing psychiatry, neurology, and they're going to change the way talk therapy is done. And these therapists, they're going to be left behind. Because when these stuff,
So pause. So right now, when you're looking for your therapist, as you are searching for your therapist, you want to make sure that they are psychedelic licensed therapists. Is that what you?
No, they're regular licensed therapists, but they've had psychedelic training through organizations like MAPS, NAROPA, California Institute of Integral Science. There's a lot of organizations out there, and these trainings cost a lot of money. And a lot of these therapists, in a year or two from now, are going to be left behind, and then they're going to have to take a 14-month course just to catch up.
Listen, that's their business. That's their business. I want to focus on the ones who are focused on the elevation, because those are the ones we want to continue to hone in our attention on, because if they're the ones that are actually receiving the medicine themselves, so they will be able, I want someone who's already gone to where I'm going. Okay.
I just did a retreat.
And so that when I am speaking to you in talk therapy, you have a thorough understanding as to where we are. How are we going to meet? How are we going to work on the healing process if you yourself have no idea as to what type of treatment that I am actually taking in combination with the talk therapy? Then what is the purpose of this relationship? So you want to get someone who gets you.
So my retreat in December in Mexico, I had 12 therapists doing the work, sitting with Gumbo and the Toad, and then, we got a lot of beautiful therapists out there right now. Shout out to Christy Strongman, based out of Brooklyn, New York. I was just at Southwest in Austin with her. She was in a documentary with Deepak Chopra. Nice. The documentary is called Open Minds. It is on Ultra TV right now. It'll be streaming on every platform in about 6 months. There's this great therapist. We seem to have a lot of mutual colleagues. Her name is Duran Young. She's doing some really big things. Her group is called Black Therapist Rock.
Nice.
So shout out to her.
Okay.
I have never met her, but I've heard some really amazing things about her work, and she's doing some really big things. And the information is out there. And it's just one Google search. These cell phones we have more information than any supercomputer NASA had in the 70s. All right. So if you apply how you use this right here, you can change your life. You got the resources right in your hand. Stop playing around on Instagram, social media, and start doing some hardcore research.
That part.
Information is out there. These things could be your college and your university if you know how to use them the right way.
Come on.
So there's a lot of great psychedelic out there. Shout out to MAPS for doing the work since the 70s to bringing these medicines to because we haven't had any big breakthrough in mental health in 100 years. Shout out to people like organizations like NAROPA University in Colorado, California Institute of Integral Science. They're training licensed therapists. You already have to be licensed.
Good.
So that you can. And then shout out to the organizations that are also going to give certificates and training to people like me, because you don't necessarily need a degree to do what I do. And because I'm not a licensed therapist, I can dive deeper with my participants as they're coming right out their journey. I can process and their traumas and their sufferings and everything that comes up that they need to work through. Because these medicines really just give us the hump, especially if you're already doing the work and you've been working on yourself and you're kind of like at this mode, you just kind of stagnant a little bit.
Yeah.
Doing the work. The medicines just give you that push.
That's it. That's I know that's where I'm at right now. I already know. I already know this.
And I'm telling you, it's miraculous what I've seen with these medicines. Miraculous. You know, what people need 20 years of therapy, you can get in 2 or 3 ceremonies in 1 month.
Done.
There's a great documentary called The Truth and Reality. It's free on YouTube. Michelle Rodriguez takes her crew down to Peru. They do ayahuasca and Wachuma. The owner of Arrhythmia is a retreat center in Costa Rica. He talks about his ibogaine journey. That's a powerful root from Africa that cleanses the brain. Heroin addicts, one journey.
Thank you.
Clean, done.
Heroin addicts, you heard that.
One journey.
You don't
need to be suffering from addiction either to work with these plants either. You don't need to be suffering from pain and trauma to work with these sacraments either.
Yes,
you want to learn about
it's at whatever level you're on, basically. When you've come to that point when you are ready to make a change, or there's some more inner work. So it doesn't matter whatever, you don't have to be limited to being, a drug addict.